Hey everyone, it's Antoine Bandele here with my co-host, Karama Horne.
And I know we can't all travel the world on a sky bison to fight a 100-year war, right? But some of those battles that Team Avatar fought, battles surrounding imbalance, inequality, and unrest, those are the types of battles that we can fight too. But how?
Let's explore some life lessons from Aang and the gang.
I've waited for this day my whole life. I finally get to learn from a real waterbending master.
Good morning, Master Paku!
No, please, march right in. I'm not concentrating or anything.
This is my friend, Katara. The one I told you about?
I'm sorry. I think there's been a misunderstanding. You didn't tell me your friend was a girl. In our tribe, it is forbidden for women to learn waterbending.
So I have a question for you. How would you feel if you were Katara in that situation, interacting with Paku?
Oh, I know I'd be angry.
Go back to the healing huts with the other women where you belong.
I'd be furious. It's difficult because culturally, if you're in a place that is not your home, you do have to respect someone's culture. But if you've been invited someplace and then they tell you once you get there, no, you can't come in because we didn't know you were fill in the blank, you know.
Right.
That's the part that really, rubs me the wrong way.
And yeah, I'm glad that we have a story like this to speak about why that is not okay.
No, I agree. Okay, so maybe violence wasn't the totally appropriate answer. Well, apparently standing up for yourself runs in the family.
I made this 60 years ago. For the love of my life.
Gran wouldn't let your tribe's stupid customs run her life. That's why she left.
Thanks to that reveal and a lot of hard work, Katara actually changed that old man's mind.
Katara, you've advanced more quickly than any student I've ever trained. You have proven that with fierce determination, passion, and hard work, you can accomplish anything.
What are 3 things that you think you could take away from this scene where Katara was not being taught waterbending because of her gender, the Northern Water Tribe?
Well, for the first one, I would say it shows how ridiculous it is even to have these gender roles applied to especially something like waterbending, which has no affiliation with gender or sex at all. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense. And also the idea of coming out of your traditional shell or just thinking in a new way, like just letting yourself being open to a new thought. Because again, if you're letting yourself being limited to only half your population, you're limiting your soldier base, your healers even. So I think it's just, you got to keep an open mind at all time with these sorts of things.
And I also think just because you and the people around you think make total sense, there's somebody out there that's thinks completely differently from you. It doesn't mean that they're a horrible, evil person. It just means they haven't been exposed to the same things as you. And maybe when you meet people like that, it's a teachable moment.
Teachable moment. I think that's it right there. This whole scene is a teachable moment.
Now, in a world of imbalance, Katara had to fight for equality. But some people do much worse, for dominance.
Father, you must have realized, as I have, that with Lu Ten gone, Iroh's bloodline has ended. After his son's death, my brother abandoned the siege at Ba Sing Se, and who knows when he will return home. But I am here, Father, and my children are alive.
Say what it is you want.
Father, revoke Iroh's birthright. I am your humble servant, here to serve you and our nation. Use me.
You dare suggest I betray Iroh, my firstborn, directly after the demise of his only beloved son? I think Iroh has suffered enough. But you, your punishment has scarcely begun.
So without naming names, what are some parallels between Ozai's actions and shamelessness and what you might see in the news today?
Oh boy, how much time do we have? I think when you have people who are in positions of power who aren't listening to their own people, who their own people might be suffering and their own people might be literally in jeopardy, even dying. And their answer is very just brush it off, walk it off, it'll be fine, whatever. That really shows that there's a lack of empathy for not just their people, but human beings in general. The citizens of the Fire Nation now, I actually feel bad for. Remember, the whole reason why Zuko got burned in the first place was because he spoke up, because one of the generals was like gonna send several of the soldiers to their deaths.
Basically to become cannon fodder, essentially.
Right. And he was like, you can't do that. That's terrible.
How do I become a strong leader, but then also have empathy? You know, you have to have, again, balance. You have to have the balance between the two, because if you're not listening to people on both sides, you're going to get that dissension.
And the result is imbalance. If you're looking at it in terms of the world of Avatar, it's imbalance. Like too much fire makes everything burn, you know?
This is basically the result of someone who is vying for power's sake, and how far they'll go to do it, and it leads to assassination of your own father.
Grandfather of Zuko and Azula, we lay you to rest. As was your dying wish, you are now succeeded by your second son. Hail Fire Lord Ozai!
Not only is he taking people out, but he's rewriting history as he sees fit to benefit himself. You really can't get more sinister than that.
A question for you. Do you think everyone in a position of power or campaigning for power is as sinister?
No. I don't even think everybody in Zuko's family is that sinister.
We see on both sides different personalities and different kinds of perspectives within who they all, you think they would think, oh, they're all the evil people, so they all think the same, right? Or they're all the good people. Like I was mentioning with Jet is on the good side. He was doing something that also was not very good. And then we have with Iroh, who, you know, turned to a better way, a good, conducive way of conducting himself in society. He's supposed to be part of the evil clan, you know?
Yeah,
so
because people don't realize, and people can change. I love how you brought up Iroh, because Iroh, we didn't see it in the actual series, right, but you only got glimpses of it. But Iroh used to be Ozai. Like he used to be that guy. And he used to burn things down. Like right
before Lieutenant died, he sent a letter saying like, we're gonna burn down Ba Sing Se and I'll do it in the honor of the Fire Nation. You're like, whoa, that's Iroh? Like, what's this?
Right. Unfortunately, he paid the ultimate price. Mm-hmm. Like he had to lose a child for him to realize, I didn't want this. What came first? Ozai's idea that he was better than everyone else, or his actual hunger for power? The two often go hand in hand, and it just shows how corrupt leaders might be. But that certainly doesn't mean everyone in positions of power are bad.
Hello, Zuko here.
Take Zuko, for example. Zuko was born into a culture where it's taught that royal bloodlines make you better than others. Now, even here as a 16-year-old, he knew that was messed up.
For so long, I thought that if my dad accepted me, I'd be happy. I'm back home now. My dad talks to me. He even thinks I'm a hero. Everything should be perfect, right? I should be happy now. But I'm not.
That's a really good scene.
Literal highlight of Avatar: The Last Airbender for me and for Zuko, because Zuko is my all-time favorite character, period. Point blank in the entire franchise.
Yeah, mine too.
Who are you angry at? Answer the question, Zuko. Talk to us. Come on, answer the question. Come on, answer it.
I'm angry at myself!
So I have a question for you. Do you think there are any parallels between Zuko and his feeling and what viewers might be feeling these days?
Oh yeah, there's so many people that I've spoken to who have had friends or family members all of a sudden on social media say something racist or homophobic or just rude and nasty, and they're shocked. They're like, oh my God, I have to look at everything differently now. And it's really hard, I think, because the concept of cancel culture is they're canceled because they just did that wrong. A lot of people are having Zuko moments because they're realizing, wait, my entire family and half of my friends have to be canceled? Wait. Wait.
Cancel culture specifically, because it's something that I'm not truly on board for, because again, it lacks empathy. Because if you want to actually change someone, you have to have a real conversation.
Zuko was upset because he had to sacrifice his morals for a fortune-filled life. Fortunately for us, he wound up surrendering luxury and security to fight for a better world.
I've been through a lot in the past few years, and it's been hard. But I'm realizing that I had to go through all those things to learn the truth. I thought I had lost my honor and that somehow my father could return it to me. But I know now that no one can give you your honor. It's something you earn for yourself by choosing to do what's right. All I want now is to play my part in ending this war. And I know my destiny is to help you restore balance to the world.
Yes, this is one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, this is fantastic, specifically because of the messaging. And I think it's very important to know that you have to go through it yourself. You can't be told, what is right and wrong. You need to actually go through life. You need to interact with people. You need to go out and see it for yourself. Even when it comes to your parents, like, yes, you should have respect for your parents, but even what they're saying, you need to negotiate what that means for you as a person individually. And that's what Zuko had to go through, is that he could not actually bring himself to be Aang's friend, which is something that Aang was offering him way back in book 1 during the Blue Spirit episode. He couldn't do that until he went through every step, going through the stuff he went with Iroh and their the breakup they had, and going through the stuff with Ozai, seeing all the stuff with Azula, how all the pressure was being put on him, how his nation wasn't doing the best that they could be doing. Those steps are very important to have change in somebody, and you have to actually be exposed to that to be able to actually do that.
Zuko doesn't say, like, listen, just believe me, I'm good now. I'm gonna, he knows he has to earn their trust. It wasn't, not all firebenders. It wasn't, not, why are you blaming me for everything that everybody else did? It was, you're right. I'm sorry. I can't imagine what you've been through, but I'm here to help. Tell me what I can do. And then listen.
And to see the difference of what Zuko and Iroh did shows us that it's just literally having a conversation with someone who's not like you, and not just once in a while, but all the time. Be living in that. I think that's the big benefit, or the big difference between those two ideas of Ozai and Zuko.
Ozai really didn't care about the people; they just cared about the power. And Zuko is more a leader of the people. As a leader, Zuko is clearly someone who is willing to listen, willing to learn, and willing to lead from the middle.
I would say keep that always in mind, to lead from the middle, because you always have to understand where everyone's perspective is coming from. You have to be the mediator for all people. You always have to be that mediator.
I completely agree.
Today, this war is finally over. I promised my uncle that I would restore the honor of the Fire Nation, and I will.
We saw firsthand that people with privilege and power can be either bad or good. That's a lesson that even our heroes struggle to learn. Remember when they learned about Roku and Sozin, two friends with a story of betrayal?
You mean after all Roku and Sozin went through together, even after Roku showed him mercy, Sozin betrayed him like that?
It's like these people are born bad. No, that's wrong. I don't think that was the point of what Roku showed me at all.
Then what was the point?
Roku was just as much Fire Nation as Sozin was, right? If anything, their story proves anyone's capable of great good and great evil. Everyone, even the Fire Lord and the Fire Nation, have to be treated like they're worth giving a chance.
Have you ever wrongly judged someone before you met them?
Oh, certainly. I think we all do. I think we have to understand that about ourselves and always have that in check. And I think Aang does that, and the monks do that very well, of knowing that there is always that bad that can be in us. And to always just make sure, hey, am I doing the right thing in this situation? I think it's important that we always do that, because you've got to be able to find a way to have those conversations with each other and not to go straight to those prejudgments, even though it might be a natural feeling for you inside.
Usually when somebody says that they don't like somebody, I usually ask them, do you know them personally? Did they do something to you?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Because if you're hearing it second, third, fourth hands, A, it might be gossip, B, it might not be true.
You would be lying if you're saying that you haven't judged someone. I think the idea of being colorblind, like in terms of like race issues, isn't really beneficial, because you shouldn't just be colorblind. You should know that someone else is different from you and accept that.
And I completely agree with your sentiment about the concept of colorblind. I don't like that term. It means I'm negating you, and I'm going to basically put a filter on who you are and look at you the way I want to see you.
The world should be an actual melting pot, not just like a side salad where everybody's just separate, with their little, you're here and you're there. It really should be a soup.
And it doesn't mean you're going to get along with everybody, but you can respect everybody.
Right. I think the big takeaway for this conversation, especially with Aang's pacifism, though I don't agree with total pacifism, I think that we do need to come pacifist first. Think that way first, have empathy first, actually think about that person as a person first, not just as an enemy, as an other, as a them, but as a that is part of me, that is part of us, that's just another human being.
Yeah, and I also think that the other takeaway is give that person a chance, like you said, give that pacifism a chance, but then if it doesn't work, have something in place so that you can take away the power, remove that threat without necessarily causing harm to others, as well as creating a new problem.
Because war begets more war, violence begets more violence. You never want to go there, because then that just breaks up all kind of communication and no one wants to listen to you at that point. Some people just need a chance to prove themselves as good. And some people need a little education to get there. Remember when Aang cosplayed as a student in the Fire Nation?
Question 1. What year did Fire Lord Sozin battle the Air Nation army? Kuzan?
Is that a trick question? The air nomads didn't have a formal military. Sozin defeated them by ambush.
Well, I don't know how you could possibly know more than our national history book, unless you were there 100 years ago.
I'll just write down my best guess.
I definitely think that re-education is definitely needed for some people. Sometimes our early history, it gets a footnote, it gets like a chapter, but it isn't all the way talked about, or it's kind of brushed away. Like saying like, oh, that was only during that time and then nothing really happened after that point.
If there is an atrocity, it's very important for both sides of that atrocity, the victims and the antagonists, to teach the next generation about what happened and teach how it never needs to happen again. I got a question for you. How would you respond to enemies that turned out to just be innocently misguided?
I'm huge on having empathy for someone who I think initially might be against me, right? Because I do actually try to have those conversations about why they're that way. And when I get those conversations, 90% of the time, it comes out with a good result.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Zuko talked about that, like when he went around the different nations, he saw how the Fire Nation was actually being received outside of the Fire Nation, as opposed to inside of it, where they all thought they were amazing and their country was amazing.
Question for you, how might you look for signs that suggest you're misguided about an issue?
I regularly tell people, convince me. My mother used to say this to me all the time. Don't tell me what I'm doing wrong. Show me what you're doing is right.
Right.
So it's like, show me what's better about your way of thinking or your way of doing whatever it is.
And I had that recently too with a certain author that had some issues with the trans community. And I was hearing like all these things. I'm like, well, what this person's saying doesn't seem like there's transphobia happening there, right? And then hearing conversations from people who are saying, no, there is an issue. You need to look into it further. It takes me to actually take that moment to go and stop, reassess my own thoughts, look into the research and go like, oh, okay, these people aren't being heard. And I didn't realize that. And I could have easily had the blinders on and not have educated myself on that situation.
Yeah, I mean, balance takes work, man.
Listen, guys, those kids at school are the future of the Fire Nation. If we want to change this place for the better, we need to show them a little taste of freedom.
What could you possibly do for a country of depraved little fire monsters?
I'm gonna throw them a secret dance party.
Let's recap. What are some of the things that we can do to help, let's say, re-educate some people who might be misinformed or judge us when we meet them?
I think it's just, let's take the Aang approach. Let's consider that there's both good and bad in every person. Like you have to just be open to understanding, hearing the people who have been marginalized.
And then give the person a chance. This is the other thing. Not everybody is ready to be re-educated. If you notice, there's a time and a place. When Aang sat back down, because he's like, I'm alone here.
Yeah, not the time for it.
Not right now, but he's gonna teach him. He's like, but I'm gonna do it on my terms. All of this takes work.
You can't ask people to change off of one conversation. It's gonna take several conversations. It's gonna take time for that person to change over what for their whole life that they had a belief system in.
What role would you play in life with power-hungry leaders, inequality, judgmental and misguided generations? Come to think of it, that's actually a lot of things to worry about. How do you even stay hopeful in a world that needs so much change?
Here's your chance, Earthbenders! Take it! Your fate is in your own hands!
Foolish girl.
You thought a few inspirational words and some coal would change these people?
How would you motivate people to fight oppression after they've seemingly given up?
Don't take everything all at once, because I know it can get overwhelming when you're thinking about this issue and that issue. Oh, and that issue over there. You know, you've got to hit it one step at a time. Maybe just take one issue at a time that you can completely focus on. When you want to dismantle something, you have to do it piece by piece. You have to take one element and then the second element, and the third element, and then the sums of all that, all those parts will get you to that end goal.
The interesting thing about Katara trying to be like the sole person to motivate these people, you don't have to affect everybody, but she did affect at least one person.
You failed.
And that's the thing, just like you said, like you take one step at a time, you take it easy, you rest when you need to, but also someone somewhere is meeting you for the first time, hearing you for the first time, and is inspired by you for the first time, no matter who you are. You can speak up when you see something that's wrong. And it doesn't have to be huge, it can be small. Voting, encouraging other people to vote. It's not important for you to see the end of the road. You just have to take the first step.
So one of the things that I take away from Avatar is it shows what it means to be a good human and to just be a good person. And I think that's the hugest takeaway I would say from the show.
Absolutely. I also think they showed oppression in different ways. They showed like the misogyny of the Northern Water Tribe, how even the earthbenders that were being captured and sort of even within the Earth Kingdom brainwashed, how the kids of the Fire Nation weren't allowed to express themselves. Like we saw various forms of oppression. By far though, I think it's that one of my favorite lessons that comes out of Avatar is Zuko's character and how to be an ally. And not many people are willing to go to the people who they have oppressed and been like, listen, I know stuff is screwed up, but I want to help. I don't know how. I'm gonna screw up, but if you work with me, I'll lend a hand. Tell me what to do. And I think right now that is kind of needed, more so than I'm worried about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing or anything like that. A lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender is about conversations. And
I'm
listening.
so glad I was trying to like come in here to talk about conversations, because I was like, that's the main thing, is that this show promotes conversation. And I think that is the way forward, is conversation. After every episode, just turn to that person and talk about what that means to you and what it means to our larger life lessons in terms of just the real world.
The road ahead of us is challenging. 100 years of fighting has left the world scarred and divided. But with the Avatar's help, we can get it back on the right path and begin a new era of love and peace.
Comment below, share what lessons you learned from Avatar.
And keep watching for more motivation from Aang and the rest of the gang.